Welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is July 8th, 2026. As always, got a lot of news for you today. I've been getting, like I said, I've been getting a little bit longer and longer, so I try to be a little bit more picky about some of the stuff that I came across today that I found interesting. However, there is a lot of news. So we're all red today. Everything's red, 2% down, but the charts don't look too bad. We're still up on the week or so forth. Gold is down 1%. Gold dumped pretty significantly these past couple days. I saw a chart for silver. Where I don't have silver here. I should probably get a silver chart, but yeah, it's down like 60% from all-time high, but I think gold is pretty bad too. So silver is actually down more than gold. Let's see, where's my measurer? So let's go from here down to roughly here. So 30%, around 30% for gold from all-time high. Anyhow, ETH is down a little bit too, but I'm okay with all this stuff. BTC, let's check the ETH BTC. So BTC gained a little bit, didn't go down quite as much as ETH today. Hype is down 2%, still quite nicely right in the middle of my ranges. I think, let's see if they retracted a big retraction on that huge pump, but hopefully the LPs got some nice good juice out of that. But I'm not an LP, I just staked this token. So anyhow, let's move on to the tweets and get right into it. Okay, so Shalag here. Shalag is basically, well, I don't know what you can call him. I just call him the big dev, the Yearn dev. Okay, so he dropped this idea here. Okay, so I'll have to do a little bit more digging into it, but I can kind of give you a little Eli 5 TLDR on it. So they're adding some tranching to Yearn vaults. So they're not just going to throw this in, like you're going to be able to have the option to enter new Yearn vaults that have tranching inside them. So they have some fixed senior incomes which are going to be lower, so like maybe pay 3% for ETH, 5% for USDC or USD dollars, and that'll be fixed, and then the juniors will get all of the upside. But there's some pretty interesting thing here. So I'm going to read this. Yield is paid from the most senior to junior, first hitting each level's target. Then any excess left over once all targets are hit gets split on the excess split. So if you think of it like on those days or weeks or periods where the yield is super juicy, the senior gets they're getting their fixed rate. The juniors are going to get their fixed amount, which is going to be higher than the seniors because they're protecting the losses for the seniors. And then it does say that there might even be, it kind of implies that there might even be more levels to it. Anyhow, I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on this, just that this is coming and it is significant news. I will, of course, make a video on this if it requires a deeper explanation. Okay, so World, I don't know. Somehow these guys came across. They became something that jumped into my feed. As you can see, quite a bit followers, but apparently they jumped bandwagon. So like, take a look at this. So Solana Foundation was supporting them. They were going to launch a prediction market on Solana. I'm not sure. Maybe they already did, but now they've just decided, no, we're going to go to Robinhood Chain. So it's like so obvious, like just like a who's going to pay us more? That's where we're going. And it kind of saddens me, but I'd much rather a Robinhood Chain become degenerate gambling meme coin trench hell than Solana, because at least it's an L2 and people can do what they want to do with their money. I'm trying my best to kind of not worry about other people so much, but anyway, so that's happened. Moving on, so ETH Raider. So ETH Raider's retweeted Uniswap. Uniswap's saying, oh, we've got 250 million volume on Uniswap on Robinhood already. And then he's like, but a few weeks ago, Uni Gang said that they were the #1 DEX on Base. And then crypto Twitter completely like just proved them wrong and said, no, you're lying, blah, blah, blah. Here's proof. And then now they're saying they got 250 million on Robinhood Chain. And they're being called out for inflating the numbers by 90%. So it's getting more and more like Uniswap is kind of struggling or becoming a dishonest, distrustable metric. Like they keep shilling metrics that are dishonest. And I think that's bad for them. I think it's quite bad for them. I think they should just continue to build tech. They've got a lot of trust. They've got a lot of people like to use Uniswap. Their code is, for the most part, immutable. These new hooks are a little bit not immutable. But anyhow, so that's it. Let's move on. So 18% yield on your stable coins if you put them into Y bold. Now, if I know a lot of people don't have a whole lot of dry powder right now because it was a great time to buy a little while ago. So, but if you do have dry powder, you can stick it in here and get 18%. I talk about this all the time. Again, no counterparty risk, no centralized issuer, always redeemable and withdrawable. Now, if you did buy ETH and you hold ETH now, then you can still get in here. You can use your ETH to mint bold and stick bold in here and get 18%. So it's like, just do it. Just look at it. Okay, so Frax. Here's a great example. I don't want to, basically this is a little teaser. Frax did an interview with Frax Force, one of their just like smaller communities. Oh, I should follow them back. I didn't know I wasn't following them. Follow back. So yeah, Frax Finance did so Sam, the leader of Frax, the thing I want to say is that he's very accessible, and I really like that. Like, I don't think some small little like community could get the leaders of USDT or USDC on a podcast. He's just not going to do it. He's going to look at the metrics and be like, yeah, you guys, like Frax Force has 400 followers, but Sam is willing to do this. Now, of course, it's aligned with his protocol, and he's by doing this he's pushing his community and his protocol more. But this is just a good example of how he puts in all of the effort. He's 24/7 available to help push his product along. Okay, so this is pretty cool. So Ramses has this liquidity pool of Hyper RAM USDC, and you can earn RAM results. So I'm going to explain this as simple as possible. So if you get RAM and you deposit it for XRAM, and then you deposit that XRAM into Hyper RAM. So let's just go back. So RAM goes into Hyper RAM, right? Now what this Hyper RAM does then is it auto votes for you, takes all your bribes, buys more RAM, and piles that RAM into Hyper RAM. So your Hyper RAM becomes more and more worth more and more RAM as time progresses. If you provide this Hyper RAM USDC liquidity pool, then you're also going to get more RAM here. Now there is some like impermanent loss, or you are selling some of your Hyper RAM for USDC as this price kind of bounces around and stuff like that. So there is a little bit. I would definitely make this very wide. Even like this 10% is probably a little not quite enough. I would go probably deep or even passive. But like 198% on if you were to go 10% up or above. It's pretty interesting way to put your RAM to work and get more and more and more RAM. I think it's pretty interesting. So this is pretty degen, like in the sense of like it's not as simple, easy to understand. It's not super risky. It's not like trenches, like betting on some shitcoin, meme coin. But I think it's a pretty interesting way to put your RAM to work. Okay, Bitcoinio. This guy here tweeted this out, and I think it's pretty interesting. Like, he's basically talking about Venice, right? And the debacle of like Venice is going to do some stocks, and the VVV token is not going to be the actual equity of Venice, and this is the controversial thing. Now, what he's saying is pretty interesting. Like, he's like, I respect him because this guy, where is this, Hasib, because Hasib's job is to make money for Hasib's LPs, and by doing this, by doing this equity thing, somehow he's doing business for his thing, and he kind of parallels it with like Warren Buffett was invested in Coca-Cola, coal mines, Philip Morris, but he didn't go around and tell people, hey, drink Coke. Like sometimes I saw him drinking Coke in pictures and stuff like that, but he wasn't like going on TV saying Coke is the best, right? Whereas Hasib is now going on TV, the way we have TV nowadays, and saying, and speaking about this Asks Venice debacle and defending it. Okay, so I think he's kind of got a good point here. I don't know, like I still hold VVV and I don't plan on selling it because I have a long-term vision of it, and I think it's a fantastic product, but I'm not sure if these VVV tokens are just going to go dump to hell. But anyways, let's move on. So Igneous is talking about Ansem and Solana meme coins. It's a short one, so I'm going to kind of read through it for those who can't see the video and who are just listening. Memes are bad for retail dumb money, but great for on-chain businesses. That's why Solana promotes Ansem. Uniswap loves volume from memes. Vlad only wants transactions on his chain. Vlad is the founder of Robinhood chain. Retail loss is somebody's win, but remember that one can't rinse retail forever. They go where they are rewarded and earn money. So yeah, like he's kind of just laying it out in very simple terms. Like, why are these meme coins? Why do the trenches keep getting resurrected? It's because retail can get rinsed, money can be taken, people want to take other people's money, chains just want more volume, Uniswap just wants more volume, so everybody just pushes it because of greed. It's all just greed, and I'm just going to say that. Greed. And that's it. And that's all it is, okay? So Igneous, good. Darren from Infusion has this talk about IPOR vaults and trading strategy. Says that JP Morgan has entered the curating business. So JP Morgan is going to open some vaults, right? Let's take a look what Darren says, and then I've got another person talking about this as well. So JP Morgan spent years building this thing, Kinesis, its own settlement in tokenized rails, now issuing a USDC denominated money market fund. They are expanding into vaults. Now every institution chasing them will face a choice, not just whether they can afford to build it. Most can financially. It's whether they can afford the time. The market is forming now, and building a vault infrastructure and rails for them from scratch means watching it happen for years behind. I anticipate partnerships and acquisitions forming in the intersection of vault and infrastructure. Now, why is he saying all this stuff? Because he says JP Morgan will need Fusion. Fusion is actually a pretty cool product. It allows anyone to kind of make their own vaults and use their own, like these fuses, what they're calling fuses, which is like a strategy. So you can kind of take these strategies, slightly tweak them for maybe tokens, right? And then plug them in and build your own vaults. So if you do go to IPOR, I'm going to open this up and show you IPOR vaults. If I launch the app, and you can kind of go down and see that there's a whole bunch of different like entities who have built vaults using the Fusion tech, right? And they kind of like running these different strategies on this platform. Now it's very clear, it's very explicit, like who's running these vaults, but you do have to dig a little bit deeper into them and see like, what kind of powers they have, because there are some powers and the ability to change some things and stuff like that. So yeah, of course you got to dig, but anyhow, that is there for people. So Korn retweeted the same tweet about JP Morgan, and he's like, you know what? If you can change price per share with a multi-sig EOA or MPC, then you're not a vault. Okay, so what he's trying to say, like obviously he's talking about Yearn can't do that kind of stuff. So like Yearn is all automated. Like if there is a loss, then price per share of course will be adjusted. But they can't just be like, oh, we need to change the price per share for this vault because there was a small loss, and we'll just adjust this, and then everybody will be okay, and nobody will know, right? So it's kind of like that. So let's see what he says. A malicious operator could hide losses by changing the PPS while you're in the vault. It's not a vault. It's just banking, but worse, and you'll never know. So yeah, like unless you're monitoring it all the time, you're not going to know. You're going to come to the vault and you're just going to be like, oh, like unless there's some timing games there. Like if you deposit and then immediately there's a loss and then you go to see how much money you will have less. But if it's like, let's say you're making $10 a day and then the next day you lose $20, like you're making $10 a day for a week, and then then the vault loses $20, and then you're making $10 a day again, then you won't really notice that loss because it'll just be like they'll just hide it, right? So anyway, so that's that. Let's keep moving on. So Benji, Brian Armstrong and Vlad Tenev are going head-to-head on Ethereum via their L2s, like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs go head-to-head in New York City via Wall Street. The city wins regardless. So yeah, like he's got a good point. Like I am not going to FUD Robinhood or Base and say, they're terrible, 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 because I'm an ETH maxi to some extent. I really like Ethereum. So I want them to fight. I want them to battle. I want them to be like, look, we've done this, we've done that. We're better, because then they are pressuring each other to produce more of what the market wants. And I'm hoping that it goes in the direction of like, achieving higher stages in L2 beat. Less trust, more decentralization, more immutability, all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm hoping that's kind of where the market pushes them to compete instead of just purely like TVL numbers and stuff like that. Okay, last thing I'm going to say here is there's a tweet here from Mikey from EtherFi, and he's got a good point. Like he's like talking about UX and how like I'm a DeFi expert. I have absolutely no problems with the UX. I think it's great. I think I don't mind bridging. I don't mind signing transactions. I don't mind approving and signing and understanding all this because I'm a DeFi expert. But the vast majority of people don't want to do that. They just want a simple user experience. And I think EtherFi is doing pretty good at bringing that to them. I do use EtherFi for my neobank, and I hope they have a lot of success in that. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope this has been interesting and useful. Thank you so much for that, and goodbye.